I'm live. Good. I'll just double check because I have actually already shared the link everywhere, so I don't need to go through all that now. I've even put up her Panmo radio, the Panmo TV blog notice. I have actually already shared the link everywhere. Yes, it's there. Good. Hello, one, and hello, all. How are you all? Hello, Mr. Grey Owl. Hello, Alex Ritchie. Hello, Welsh Ripper. Wales standing by. Good evening, Armand Adams. DJ B2. Lisa. Nothing as it seems. Hugo Rune. Spliffs in my tin. I'm ready. Check. Good. You got everything you need there, Hugo, don't you? The lights were low. Malaya Grimm. Nothing as it seems. How you doing? Welcome. Hope you're doing all right, guys. Hope you're doing all right. It's good to talk to you all again. I'm appropriately dressed, as you see. Make America great. My MAGA hat. Make America great again. And Brexit now, of course, because I do believe these two things are linked. Hello, David. How are you? I'm still a 2016 believer. I think 2016 hasn't gone away. In fact, 2023 might be the new 2016. How are you all? Yeah. But anyway, of course, the reason we're here today is because, as you can guess, you can actually see him behind me. There is the God Emperor himself in court. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Winslow Burdett. How do you do? Nice to see you too. It's great you guys are all in chat. It's really good to see you all. Yes. Sov in the house, says Alex Ritchie. Oh, Della. Hey, Della. How you doing? You okay? Oh, good. I'm glad you're all right. And hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. Welcome, all of you. Welcome to this live stream. I've actually got a theme for this particular live stream, which is, of course, the very, very corrupt issues process going on in the United States right now. Hello, Martin Taylor. How you doing? Because, well, you could probably guess what this is all about. The reasons behind it is, of course, there is a dissembling. That's a good word. Look it up. Dissembling of the people who want to prosecute President Trump. Because what they've done is they have an ulterior motive for dealing with him like this, and they have hey Rose, go Ben. Hi Rose, how you doing? And they have come up with some trumped up excuse, if you'll excuse the pun. Hello King L, how are you? So this is hello Pat Riot. Good evening. How you doing? Everyone's gathering this evening, which is great. I'm really, really glad you're here. And it's great to see so many people here. You know, of course, there's a lot going on. Mr. Grey Owl, have you seen? Oh, hello, Fletch. How you doing, Fletch? All right. I've not actually watched Trump's speech yet. I haven't had time because last night I was editing. Yesterday I was editing my video. What's I doing last? Oh, right. Monday evening I got home, edited my video. Then I was basically researching for this show, plus putting up the notices. I wrote an article, a review of The Present, the book I talked about by Stephen Molyneux in the last video. Then I was uploading writing and posting notices, and then so I really haven't had time to do an awful lot since I got back from my holiday. Because I got home, free Trump, vote Kanye West or Sean Strickland. All right, Trump. Lisa, we may have a chance to watch Trump's speech. It depends how this live stream goes, how much information, how many questions people ask me. I do have it loaded. I have it loaded up on a tab so we can watch that if necessary. Watch the entire speech. Apparently, it was one of his best. When people are saying it's one of his best, and the good news is everything that's happening is backfiring on the bad guys. Everything they've done in the since 2016, it's backfiring. Oh, thanks, Mr. Grau. Yeah, it's fascinating that such a blatant rapscalliness can take place so overtly in plain sight. Surely we need to reboot the Matrix. Well, the fact it's taking place in plain sight is a sign of its weakness. I mean, all commentators I'm going to talk about, like there's a couple of, I'm going to play a couple of videos from various commentators, Paul Joseph Watson and Katie Hopkins. Lisa just shared me the Katie Hopkins ones, literally just as I was coming on the air. they're all happy. Styx Hexenhammer is very happy by what's going on here. So is the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. The entire dissident sphere is calling this as a massive own goal for the bad guys. The ultimate in backfiring of what's happened. That Trump has come out of this looking stronger than ever. Indeed, there's some. We'll go through some polls in a little while, opinion polls. But first of all, just give you a bit of background. This whole thing just kicked off quite a long time ago. Actually, it was actually in 2006. It's like a lot of these things. It goes back a long way. And the first reports came out in 2015 before Trump even had just begun his run for presidency, which of course is because of course it was meant to try and scupper him on his first run for presidency. Of course, no one took it seriously. But anyway, there was Trump had a lawyer called Michael Cohen, and what happened was there was a payment made through him to someone called Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels, who's that's got a page up here. Stormy Daniels her real name is Stephanie Gregory Clifford, but she is actually what is called Terry Joyce has a word for it. It's an adult movie actress, I think is the word they use. Stephen Truthseeker, hello, how are you? Bernie Tucker, greetings. I'm going to keep checking these comments, guys. If I miss any of your comments, good evening. Great speech from President Trump. Maybe we'll have a chance to watch. We may watch that actually while we're on the air. It depends on how many questions you want to know and how many you people ask. But now, Stormy Daniels, I mean, obviously I can't give you any details about this because it's not allowed on YouTube. I have managed to track down some of her performances, shall we say, on various, not on YouTube, on other video sharing websites. And she's pretty nondescript, actually. It's pretty much like she's quite, what's the word, conventional in that sense, if you're familiar with that kind of cinema. What happened was Trump allegedly had a relationship with Stormy Daniels in 2006 and arranged payment of $130,000 to her in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement. Now, this is where now there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely not. That's actually not illegal. If it was, then Bill Clinton would be in the darkest dungeon in the entire world, which I hope he will be at some point. Not for doing things like that, for doing far worse things. But what happened was, you see, because what happened? Trump. This all happened because what happened was. Let me just get the facts straight. Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, handed this is what Trump is claiming. Handed Stormy Daniels the money out of his own pocket, for which then Trump paid him back from his own pocket. But there's allegations that the payment raised actually came from Trump's financial own contributions to his campaign, and this violates federal campaign finance laws. It was also a misdemeanor under New York laws. Now, Trump lives in Florida, of course, at Mar-a-Lago, but he's still a New Yorker, and this apparently happened in New York. And the payment was not duly disclosed as a campaign contribution or because campaign funds may have been used towards the payment. This is the thing. This is the whole issue. It seems a very, very minor. It seems a minor kind of. It seems a minor issue, doesn't it? It's basically since Trump was actually funding much of his own campaign anyway, what difference does it make? But anyway, of course it doesn't. But that's because they don't really care. No one cares about this. And when you think about what other politicians have done over the years, and they've got away with it, no one bats an eyelid. Trump just does this tiny little thing, and they're blowing it out of all proportions. So Cohen apparently got paid back anyway. Trump said he had no knowledge of Cohen's payment, but on April 26th of 2018, he admitted Cohen represented him in the Stormy Daniels issue. On May the 2nd, Trump's new lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, said that Trump had reimbursed Cohen for the payment. Trump apparently sacked Cohen. Cohen is now a prosecution witness. Cohen himself is also in serious trouble. Back in 2018, he pleaded guilty to 8 criminal charges, including campaign finance violations for the Daniels payment. So he's taken the rap for this himself, apparently. He stated under oath that he paid her in coordination with and with the direction of a candidate for federal office, meaning Trump, of course. Trump then Cohen was then disbarred. Basically, he can't practice law anymore. So his license to practice law he's been taken off the bar. He's no longer allowed to practice criminal law, and he spent 3 years in jail. Stormy Daniels filed 3 lawsuits against Trump and Cohen. In the first lawsuit, she argued that the NDA was invalid. Although Trump then filed a motion to dismiss, which they filed a motion to dismiss, and it was granted. It was sustained. Trump paid Stormy Daniels legal fees. There was more trouble from Daniels. She kept wanting more money out of him. It's a bit sinister, I think. It's the potential liability of Trump and other potential charges against Cohen arising from the payments to Daniels had yet to be determined and resolved. Although an internal report said there was reason to believe Trump's campaign had knowingly violated campaign finance law, abandoned the inquiry into the payment to Daniels. And on March the 30th, 2023, a Manhattan grand jury indicted Trump for his alleged role in the scandal. That was the court case we're talking about here. So to me, it's all to do with whether the payment was made in the right way. That's what it sounds like to me. And Styx Hexenhammer's been making this point. I mean, the podcast of the Lotus Eaters has a very good summary of it. If I can find there, let me just find there. How are you guys getting on anyway in chat? And my browser's running slowly. Hello, any more new people turned up? King L is still here. King L, yes. DJ B2, I see is here, yes. Delafarrant, Stephen Truthseeker, how you all doing, guys? Yes. Jamnoy72 was here earlier, but I think she's gone now. All right. What? My browser's running slow. It's annoying when it does that. There's lots. There's so much on social media about Trump. It's unbelievable. About Trump in court. It's unbelievable. But here we go. Let's have a look at this.
So Donald Trump has been indicted by a New York grand jury over, pardon the pun, trumped up charges.
Can you hear that all right? You should be able to hear that all okay. Hello, Paul Armstrong. How do you do? Welcome. Pat Wright, could they do Trump for breaking and entering? Well, funny enough, people are comparing this to Watergate because this is a completely unprecedented situation. This, for the first time ever, a president or ex-president has been indicted by court. He's been sitting there in court with his Secret Service bodyguards around him. I mean, people say, well, what about Nixon? Nixon was done for Watergate. He wasn't done. There was no indictment against Nixon for Watergate. There was no impeachment. He simply resigned. He jumped before he was pushed. And there was no further action taken against him legally. Okay, here we go.
Related to hush money potentially paid to Stormy Daniels, aka Horseface. Now, I'm not going to conceal my biases here. I thought
it was Jacinta Ardern.
enjoyed President Trump's 2020 presidential run, both for comedy value and because I thought he did a fair bit of good in the lead up to the pandemic. The pandemic policies were certainly not great, all the spending and the 15 days to slow the spread that turned into 3 years of lockdowns and the appointment of Dr. Birch and Anthony Fauci. So Trump is in a bit of a
Trump sacked Fauci.
equilibrium place for me on policy, but he's definitely
Yeah,
better
Biden bloody reinstated. The first thing Biden did was reinstate Anthony Fauci.
than any of the Democrats. And I think most of the Democrats are very scared of him because he came out of the RNC convention as the clear front runner in the field. And
he seems to express the anti-globalist sentiment that many people have in the Western world.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. See, I think Trump is a white hat. I mean, I've heard many people saying, no, he's just another insider, man. He's just another insider. But no, he's not. Even David Icke thinks he's just another insider. But I mean, well, I've been through that before. I don't have to go through that argument again.
Yeah, and also he knows how to speak to Americans because he went down to the East Palestine train wreck when Biden was in Ukraine and bought everyone McDonald's, and people genuinely felt connected to the guy.
That was hilarious. Biden buggers off to Ukraine to support some kind of what was it? Yeah, it was some kind of global. Well, you know what I'm talking about. The globalist kind of onslaught on Russia. Couldn't give a damn about East Palestine and what happened there. He doesn't even send Kamala down there, or Pete Buttigieg goes down there, and Trump. They're the only people to go down there. And of course, that says it all, doesn't it? It says where the loyalties of the U.S. administration lie. They don't lie within the United States. They lie within the New World Order. They don't give a damn that the United States is just their possession, which they're using for their own purposes. They're not patriotic or connected at all to that particular nation.
So as much as he is a New York billionaire, he seems to really connect with his voter base because he's personable. And so this is...
People who work in his hotel say he's a really nice boss. They're like the most junior sort of bellboy, chambermaid, says he's just lovely. He's just really nice to them, respects them. And I, as a hospital porter, coming from that sort of like below stairs culture within the hospital, I appreciate that so much.
One of the last and most egregious methods that they're trying to assassinate Trump from the presidential race. So today we'll go through the indictment, the charges, and the players that are involved in this scenario so you can get a sense of how credible the attempt to take down President Trump actually is. We've got a brief timeline of the events from Reuters here that I'll just skate over for the uninitiated. So in January 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had paid $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels in October to prevent her from discussing a sexual encounter she said she had with Trump in 2006. She has inconsistently recanted on whether or not this encounter actually happened, so that could damage her testimony. In February, Michael Cohen, who was Trump's former lawyer, said he used his own money and wasn't directed by Trump's company or his campaign to make the repayment, and that Trump had never directly reimbursed him for the payment. Then in August 2018, Cohen had pled guilty to criminal charges in a Manhattan federal court, also including campaign finance violations over the supposed hush money payment. And he testified that Trump had directed him to make the payments, quote, for the principal purpose of influencing the election. So we're getting some inconsistent accounts here from Cohen. In January 2023, skip ahead because we'll fill in the gaps as we go.
Well, see, there's nothing. I mean, I suppose for a man in his position, I mean, if he was even guilty, if he even had this relationship, There's nothing actually illegal about doing that. You can say that may be unethical for him to do that. But he may have thought, well, I'm running for president. I made a mistake all those years ago. This was back in 2006. I just want to make this mistake go away. And you could say, well, that's dishonest. But look, he's fighting a war, basically. And he knows that his enemies will just dig up every bit of dirt they can in his past, which they did. They dug up like little comments he made outtakes while he was long before he was a politician, when he was doing that Apprentice TV series. So he just said, let me make this go away by paying this woman some money. And let's face it, compared to what the others have done, I mean, this is nothing. That's nothing when you compare it to what people such as Bill Clinton have done, and let alone the PDF files, who have inhabited the British establishment. And let's not forget Prince Andrew and the various payments he made to this particular lady.
So, based on the personal conduct of each person involved, the
I
district.
should point out that Stormy Daniels is actually 44 years old right now, which means she would have been. This was like 17 years ago, which means she would have been in her. Don't ask me to do mental maths. In her 20s, a grown woman, not a child, not a teenager.
Attorney, Deputy District Attorney Bragg began presenting evidence about Trump's alleged role in the 2016 money payments. In March, Manhattan prosecutors invited Trump to testify before the grand jury. And then on March 18th, Trump said on Truth Social that he expects to be arrested on Tuesday and called his supporters to protest.
I remember that. Yeah, nothing happened, but I was sort of preparing for it, because I was going away, of course, to Weird Weekend North. But I mean, I thought to myself, well, I was quite relieved when it didn't happen because I had a lot more to do that week. But it's just for that reason alone. And I thought maybe this is just going to go away, but it didn't, of course.
And then we find out that yesterday, different Tuesday, or what was it, the 4th of April,
Yep.
Trump has finally gone to the court and been properly indicted and formally done so. So let's have a look at some of the charges, because he's facing 34 charges. Some of them are leveled at Michael Cohen, and Bragg said most of them are for the
34 charges. I mean, Styx Hexenhammer said the fact they've got so many charges, all these various different counts, means they're just hoping one of them sticks. This is a sign of basically a fabricated case that has been deliberately created for an ulterior motive. He said that. I mean, this is just so obvious now.
Trump organization. So yes, they implicate Trump, but they still implicate his organization rather than him directly.
Is Michael Cohen his lawyer?
Former lawyer.
Former lawyer. Okay.
We'll find out why they fell out. Don't you worry. So Trump is charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business reports under Article 175 of the New York Penal Law. Each count represents a separate incident of alleged misconduct, but not a different type of crime. For each count, Trump could face up to 4 years in prison. So, he's 76 now. If somehow they got all 34 counts through, he'd die in prison.
Yeah, you could do the mathematics yourself, but it comes to more than a century. Of course, if the plan is, I mean, I don't know if the plan is actually to get him into jail. Hopefully, if that happens, he will not have to serve any of these convictions consecutively, which, of course, as you say, would be the rest of his life. Even if he were younger, it would probably be the rest of most people's lives, because they do this, don't they? Look what they were doing. They were going to make Gary McKinnon serve all of his convictions. They were going to make him serve them consecutively, one after the other. Which means, of course, he would, as a younger man, though, he would die in jail as well.
Likely, as we'll go on to see. Falsifying business records is a felony in New York where there is an intent to defraud that includes an intent to commit another crime or to aid and conceal a crime. In this case, prosecutors will have to prove that Trump is guilty of maintaining false business records with the intent to hide a $130,000 payment in the days before the 2016 election to adult film actress Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged 2006 affair. So contained in there, Trump has to have been proven to have lied about not reimbursing his lawyer for the hush money payment. And the hush money payment is not a problem in and of itself because it's just a standard NDA. But they have to prove that the money came from the campaign finance pot and not just Trump's personal funds.
Well, seeing as the campaign finance pot was basically pretty much filled up by Trump himself, what difference does it make?
Which is also going to be difficult to do.
I think the hush money affair is... you could say,
what are their chances of a conviction here? Is this, you see, this does look like a malicious prosecution, doesn't it? I mean, it's already, we'll go into some more details in a minute. This is already starting to look like a malicious prosecution.
a moral affair.
Absolutely.
They're just going after his character. And
I think that's all I want to show you of that particular bit. So let's go back to the comments. Hope you guys are all right. Right, someone wants to mention Nicola Sturgeon's husband. We'll be coming on to that. Because this is another example of the kind of things that you if you're the right kind of person, like if you serve them, the agenda, the deep state, you could just do anything and get away with it. If you don't, right, if you're against them and you get into a position where you challenge them, God help you if you even get caught speeding. You see, the legal system is not. We have this idea that the judiciary and the legal system is kind of above society, kind of looking down, and my hands disappeared then. Ooh, and sort of like looking down and above and treating everyone the same. Lady Justice with her scales, and her blindfold. It's not, though, is it? It's not. Nicholas, hello, Nicholas Baines. Welcome. What's your favourite 80s synth pop song? Probably something by Yazoo. I'm dating myself there, aren't I? Yeah. And Rose, hello. Yeah. If you go against the demon crates, they'll come for you. Yeah. This explains other things, such as the Merthyr Tydfil one, which I'll also be talking about in a minute. This is another example. So, yeah, this is what we're looking at, as Styx Hexenhammer explained. We're looking at like 250 years of due process being thrown out, a misdemeanor upgraded to a felony. In other words, these are terms from American legalese, but it basically means that a minor offence has been aggrandized. It's been through using basically the manipulation of the law, and they've managed to upgrade it to a more serious offence, which again is probably a good sign. It means they're afraid. It means this is a sign. Like I say, I'm going to come back to this point again and again and again. But the fact they're doing this so openly and they're doing it so blatantly, like they were when they were trying to reverse Brexit, or the with the election, which we can't talk about on YouTube, the 2020 presidential election, which I could only talk about that on Alt Tech. And they're doing it. They're not trying to hide. They can't seem to be able to hide it anymore. They're just doing it in the open, or indeed the C-word disease, and everything that went from that, which I believe was simply the C-word. That is the disease that swept the world for a couple of years. Was simply a retaliatory strike to everything that happened in 2016. And this is another part of that, because Trump's now running for president again. This only kicked off and was progressed to the stage it has, which was kind of like accelerated when Trump announced his run for president. And they saw the opinion polls about how he was ahead. So we should really, this is something we should I don't want Trump to have to go through this. But I don't think he's going to go to jail or anything like that. This is backfiring more and more and more. Everything bad they do to him is serving his agenda, and he cares. You listen to what he says. He cares about the people. He says, basically, they're coming for you and I'm in the way. That's what he says. And it's true. So this is good, what's happening now. We should rejoice at what's going on right now. Or to quote Styx Hexenhammer, I'm fucking loving this. It's what's happening. It's like a, there's been the president of Panama or someone tweeted how what's happened in the United States is like a third world dictatorship, and he should know because his own country used to be one of those. And he said basically we're looking at situations where there's a coup d'état rather than fair elections, and then what often happens in these third world dictatorships is the candidate who's been deposed will then find himself in court facing some kind of legal problem or be put under house arrest or something like that. And as Styx says, this is unprecedented, no pun intended, but precedented, where a president has actually, he's called a former president. As you know, I don't believe he is a former president, but he's been put in court. As I said, Watergate never led to this indictment. Richard Nixon never faced a criminal charge for what he did. He just jumped out of the way before there was a chance. So Trump has been impeached twice, as we know. Again, this is an absolute record. Only 3 presidents have ever been impeached. Clinton, Trump twice. Clinton was impeached once. And a president in 1856, the president of the United States was impeached. His name, interestingly, was Andrew Johnson. Yeah. So there's been protests everywhere, not just in New York. The streets are filled with Trump supporters in New York. It's heartwarming to see everyone come out to support him, not just in New York. People across the country have been doing this. All city centers have been filled with Trump supporters. Now, this is where we've got to be careful, because if you see any weird people with sunglasses suddenly appear in the crowd who you've never seen before, saying, with the regalia on, like what I've got, or the bag of hats and things like that, beware, because these are the people who probably start causing trouble deliberately, as they did on January the 6th, basically. I mean, there's new information come out about January the 6th, which adds to the notion that it was a completely staged event. It was a staged non-event, basically. As we conspiracy theorists were all saying this. We were all saying this years ago, and now there's new news reports. Tucker Carlson was reporting on this, how the Q shaman, Jacob Chansley, he was invited in and was escorted into the police. 9 Capitol police officers were surrounding him. No one tried to arrest him. They just gave him a guided tour of the whole place. They wanted to use him. They want to use sincere people. I'm just adjusting my notes here. So Trump turned up in court. He was not arrested. He actually placed himself under what I suppose I don't know what the term is they use in the United States. We call it a voluntary interview under caution if you're going to be interviewed by the police, or a voluntary something or other. I don't know what it is, but he just went into court. Excuse me. Lots of people cheering him on. Once in court, there was a hearing that took just an hour. He was basically read out. These charges were read out. He was fingerprinted. The usual report when you're arrested, he was fingerprinted. Some DNA was taken on a cotton bud from his cheek, that kind of thing. The U.S. Secret Service guards were with him the whole time, which must have been very strange for the police. That's never happened before, because only U.S. presidents get this. They get the U.S. Secret Service, unless there are people in which there's a specific threat made to them, which is gauged, then the Secret Service will provide cover for other officials, but the president is the only one who gets it automatically. And then he was taken into court where the judge instantly is a Biden donor. It makes sense, doesn't it? Read out the charges, and Trump pleaded not guilty to every other one. And what's interesting is they're not. I know they're not obliged to do this, but they wouldn't actually relate the nature of all the allegations. So they read these allegations out, did not disclose every single detail of them, and it's really, they just said business records falsification related to federal election law, without any details at all. And this is so like what happened to me when I was suspended from the NHS. They just wouldn't tell me. They didn't tell me for a week why I was even suspended. I mean, this is obviously, like, this may be common practice in American law, but in the NHS, it's very unusual. My shop steward was very confused. But so then that may be nothing in that so far. But they say Trump. They may take this up to the point where Trump will face federal charges. This is all grinding very slow. As you know, this has been going on since 2006, on and off. It really sort of kicked off in 2018 and just really accelerated when Trump announced he was running for president. It could be months or years until there's a trial. This is obviously a fake political case. This has obviously been dissembled with an ulterior motive. They don't care about Stormy Daniels or anything like that. They just don't give a damn about anything. As I said, this is a very, very minor little issue. It's an unimportant misdemeanor that Trump committed, if he even committed it at all. And it's minuscule and irrelevant if you compare it to what other politicians have done, as I explained earlier. The judge, of course, is a Biden donor, and we know that they don't put away their biases at the door. He may well have been chosen for that very reason, because he's very pro-Biden. And there's all kinds of nonsense. They say, oh, Trump Jr. has been posting photos of the judge's daughter and things like that. That's Donald Jr.'s son. The judge's daughter has a massive Facebook account where she puts loads and loads of her own photos up everywhere, saying who she is. And what's more, she's not 13 years old. She's 34 years old. She's a grown woman. I don't know how this is going to go. I mean, I'm scared. I'm scared they're going to try and kill him. They're going to try and kill Trump. They'll JFK him at some point. That does worry me, and I do pray for his safety, as the saying goes. I pray and hope for his safety. But I think the fact that he has stayed alive this long indicates to me that there are some very powerful people watching his back. Why is he still alive? I mean, JFK. I mean, John F. Kennedy appears to have been the chosen one in the 1961 election. He was. In fact, there's evidence that there was electoral fraud used to get him into power, into the White House against the candidate he was up against. I think it was Nixon, actually. He went up against Nixon, believe it or not. Nixon was then chosen to be a candidate later. I believe he was up against Nixon, if I remember rightly, and he was then the chosen one. But of course, they very quickly changed their mind. They very quickly changed their mind about that. And it took basically just 2 years to arrange his disposal, from when he was elected president to when he was actually done in. They done him in, as the saying goes. It took less than 2 years. Was it 1960 or 61 election? It was 2 or 3 years anyway. With Trump, like, we're getting close. We're getting 7 years or more now. Longer if you include the campaign. Hey guys, I hope you're all right. Going through your comments again. Like I said, I will not be able to read all your comments because I've got to present the show, obviously. But I'll go through as many as I can. If you post a comment directed to me and I don't answer it, you have to repeat it. Sorry about that. People are talking about films: Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Taxi Driver. Yes. Hugo says, I'm struggling here. I must persevere. America is so uninteresting, but I like Ben, so we'll watch. Oh, thank you. Well, we're going to come on to some other subjects as well. Like I said, this is related subjects, we're not just going to talk endlessly about Trump. So yeah, I had my fingerprints taken when I was arrested. If you remember my video from that time, it was actually an interesting experience. I didn't feel, well, I did worry, because I thought, it did cross my mind, this could be a chance to do away with me. But I was more worried when I went in for my interview. If you remember my video about that, but they did take my fingerprints and DNA. The cop who arrested me was a very nice chap. King L. 2 wrongs don't make a right, Ben. Trump needs to be brought to task, and if guilty, face the force of the justice system, and even probed. Well, that's the thing. I don't want to hear anyone probed, by aliens especially. But you see, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, if this is a kind of wartime situation, you've got to just get to the point where you think, well, you've got to fight fire with fire. Do you know what I mean? I mean, none of us are perfect. None of us are saints. All of us may have done things in our past that we are not proud of. I have indeed. It could be that Trump in his younger days, and we are talking about a long time ago now, before he was into politics, he may well, because of course, if you look at the kind of guy he is, you get these younger women throwing themselves at him all the time because he is this millionaire celebrity, and that, of course, that appeals to a large number of women. Not all. I mean, obviously, if that was the case, then I'd have been terminally single my whole life. So not all women are like that, but a large proportion are. And if you are a billionaire, the chances are you can have your pick, or probably about 80% or 70 to 80% of whoever you want. And you may be turned down a few times, but it's actually quite rare. Whereas if you're like me, it's the other way around. And it's possible he decided to, he decided to succumb to temptation with this Stormy Daniels character. Maybe she was his type. I don't know. I don't think there's anything terribly appealing about her, to be honest. And I've and I've actually investigated and found some of her, as I said, some of her performative work. I think she's fairly nondescript. If you're used to those kinds of that kind of cinematic treat, which I won't say whether I am or not, but I know enough to realise that she's fairly ordinary in that sphere. Lisa says we all have different opinions. Read Trump, and yet again, we mere mortals never really know anything. I do think he is a massive catalyst for people to wake the fuck up. Yes, Lisa, exactly. He is. Della says, what are the words on your high vis vest, Ben? Well, I can show you some of them. I can't show you all of them, or this video will be banned because they involve a certain letter of the alphabet in the 17th part position in the alphabet. But here we go. Brexit now. Brexit hard. I'll show you that bit. The back, though, I can't show you. That's Paul. I know I wasn't impressed. I wasn't terribly impressed by her. She seems pretty ordinary. Like I said, rather plain woman, I think. Okay, come on, Ben. Trump's a grease burger with double cheese. I don't even. Alex, Dave Murphy at the bar in Canterbury on the. Oh, that's allegedly Dave. Yeah, he's actually quite vocal at the moment. He's got an active channel. Lisa and I knew allegedly Dave long before he was doing YouTube. We knew him when he was on CMR, didn't we, Lisa? Now he's very keen on the flat Earth thing, which I have my own opinions of. But I love his. He's done a couple of videos about the law and things like that, and he's still into lawful rebellion, which is really good. Okay, so I haven't had. Has anyone posted any comments along the lines of Ben Trump's just another insider? He's just another. Has anyone posted that? I know some people. I think Jam Noise thinks that. Does anyone else? If you do, please do feel free to post. No flat Earth. Oh, he was. Maybe he's not anymore, Alex. But he was in the big flat Earth documentary, along with Mark Sargent and that people. He was very into flat Earth. Maybe he's changed his mind on that. I don't know. So, oh bloody hell, malware bites. Go away, not right now. Jeff Sperry, hello. Never forget Operation Warp Speed. How could I ever forget that? It's one of my favourite episodes. It's the one where Scotty almost gets killed, doesn't he? And Kirk has to rescue him. Oh, Alex, yeah, he's a flat earther. I'm not. I never said you were a flat earther, Alex. Richard D. Hall in the news again. The BBC want him big time. Yes, we're going to come on to that. We're going to come on to that, Welsh Ripper. I've done an entire live stream about that and a long article, which you can find on my channel. But we're going to come on to that. 69 Phuket. Ben, Trump's just another insider. No, he's not 69 Phuket. He's not. I dispute. I think he's a white hat. And I know some people think white hats don't exist. They think, well, but what that is, it's kind of, you get to the point where you're attributing to the bad guys almost magical powers. They're so omnipotent that everything that happens in the world we see before us is something that they want. Now, it wasn't a conversation, but Brent Lee made one of his views. Brent Lee, I mean, do you know Brent Lee? He's the guy who co-hosts the videos with Neil Sanders. Now, Neil Sanders, of course, has kind of gone, what's the word? Neil Sanders, of course, has gone full Skepper, basically, in the last few years. Jeff Sperry says, no, Ben, it was the name of the V rollout in America. Oh, right. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Right. Yeah, we'll come on to that. We'll come on to that. We will address that point. But, yeah, people saying, well, everything that happens is what the Illuminati want. Everything. Absolutely everything. Now, one interesting thing that Brent Lee said was, because he used to, I think I remember him from the David Icke forum, he used to be very much on our side. But he now does this video. He and Neil, who are both sort of ex-conspiracy theorists, do this show together called Some Dare Call It Conspiracy, which I do watch. Yes, I do. I even comment on it occasionally, politely. and on Facebook and things like that. Brent actually said that one of the reasons he started to change his mind was that because of 2016. He said that Trump, Brexit, and Jeremy Corbyn becoming Labour leader were all things that he predicted would never happen. And the fact they happened made him think, well, maybe there is nothing to this New World Order after all. And I find it very interesting. I did leave a comment for him on Facebook. I don't know if he saw it. You see, I actually said exactly the same thing at the time. I predicted, as you know, because it's on record, that definitely... Hello, big friendly Kuma. How do you do? I want to see you in a builder's hat. Oh, well, I've got a red hat, but it's not a builder's hat. Because I said Hillary Clinton was the chosen one for the US presidency. I said Trump probably wouldn't get it. I was very, very surprised when Trump got it. I also said that it was the destiny of Britain to be in the European Union, because the European Union was a stepping stone to world government. And for a major member state like Britain to fall out, it just wouldn't happen. It was not part of the plan. I also thought Jeremy Corbyn wasn't the chosen one for Labour leader. I thought he was sure. I'm not a massive fan of him, especially in recent years. But yeah, he wasn't meant to be Labour leader, and indeed he was deposed. GJ says Neil Sanders became full skepper when he got a lot of tattoos. I think he's always had plenty of tattoos. I think, if I remember rightly. Big friendly Cuba. Will Trump get it again? Well, I hope he will into next year, getting back into the presidency. I did wonder if we even had time for that. With any luck, something will happen before then. Lisa says, ultimately, the only ones who can save us are, of course, us. All about choices and seeing the absolute need for change. Yeah, I think that the fact that the bad guys are getting so desperate is a sign that they are losing control of us, which is good. So, I mean, so it's odd that for Brent, this was kind of like the undoing of his belief system, as he says himself. I'm interested to talk to him, actually, Brent, and I've talked to Neil. Hello, Frank Triggs. How you doing? And as said, Frank says, only a banana republic locks up presidential candidates. Well, this is exactly what the president of Panama was saying. I think it was Panama. Was it Panama, or was it Panama, Mozambique, something like that? He was the leader of a third world nation anyway, and he said that this is the problem that has been existed all over the third world, is that you get like this kind of corruption, a banana republic, where someone gets into power, usually sponsored by the CIA or something like that, and then they are kept in because their opponent is basically, as you said, locked up. Is false criminal charges, things like that. Hello, Tolkien Study. I'm very well, thank you. Welsh Ripper, we're going to talk about Richard D. Hall in a little while. Tolkien Study, I love Neil and Brent and their podcast. We know what, Tolkien, I disagree vehemently with them, but I watch them. I do watch them. Yeah, I was going to say hate. It's a hate sub, but I don't hate them. I don't feel any animosity towards them. I think they've made a mistake. I mean, I don't know. Actually, it could be. Now, this is a point that I want to just mention this point. Maybe I'll come back to it in more detail on a future program or article. But Richard Seymour wrote a biography of Christopher Hitchens, and he made this point: is that those most likely to convert and cross the aisle are the most zealous, the ones least tolerant of the other side of the story. I don't know exactly how much. When Brent Lee was a conspiracy theorist, and he's actually preserved one of his videos from back then, and he sounds like very, very into it, like I was as well. But I think Brent was. I don't know how much attention Brent paid back then to the other side of the story, because you can see all of us could convert. Both sides are making converts from the other. I can't rule out the possibility that I might one day become a skeptic. But with me, I think it's unlikely, and the reason is I already know their arguments, because I've always taken a keen interest in the other side of the story. I do. As far as Brent goes, I wonder if he did, because I'd be curious to know if he did, because I suspect he didn't. He was like very much into because he was on the David Icke Forum, and he seemed very much immersed into the culture. and therefore he didn't really look at the other side of the story very much. As a result, well, I'll go into it in more detail, but he fits that profile that Seymour talks about because he claims, Seymour says that Christopher Hitchens was exactly the same. Tolkien Study says, "Oh, I've interviewed Neil. You interviewed Neil. Tolkien Study. Do I know you? Have you got your channels, Tolkien Study? Because I recognise your name. I may well have seen that. Because I've interviewed Neil too, and I did 2 interviews with Neil a while ago now. I don't think he would. I don't think that he would come on my show now. But yeah, he was into. Trank says he was into mind control a lot. Yes, he was. Very much. Yes. And Tolkien Study said Christopher Hitchens went warmonger later as a Bush supporter, but he was fun. Well, I mean, as far as Christopher Hitchens goes, I mean, I'm a big fan of his brother Peter, but you know, I know you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I did wonder, did he say he supported that war because he supported it, or did he say he supported that war because he knew it would get him into arguments with other people? Because one thing, Christopher Hitchens, not Peter, Christopher Hitchens was an enormous contrarian. He loved debates. He was a Libra like me. He loved debates, and I sometimes think he would feign positions that he didn't really believe in just for that purpose, just so he could generate controversy, which would get him into debates. But Tolkien Study, I mean, do I know you? I mean, maybe I've watched your channel. I don't know. Anyway, what do we have here? Someone else has joined us. Israel Diego Rivera, Genius to the Real Genius. How do you do? What will happen to the English Bigfoot? Oh, you got to mention the English Bigfoot, hasn't he? Tolkien Study, he wrote a book called Letters to a Young Contrarian. Yeah, that was quite good. I like Hitch 22 as well, his autobiography. But, yeah, Tolkien Study, feel free to post a link to your interview with Neil. I'd be interested to see it if I haven't already. Because, yeah, I'd be interested to see it. Oh. I mean, King L has been rude to Neil. King L, I think he's made a mistake, but I don't think I don't dislike the guy. And same goes with Richard, you know, with Richard D. Hall. I think Neil's intention was to help Richard, to act as a positive character witness at the BBC. But as I said, he was wasting his time. It's futile. They're not interested in a positive character witness for Richard. They're holding a kangaroo court. And as he himself complained, they edited the whole thing, yeah, didn't they? Rhiannon and also the other girl. Is Rhiannon here? I haven't seen her. All right, Tolkien Study. I'll look it up later, but you know, I'll approve it, and I'll ask the Spanners to approve it too. Yeah. Last I heard, Sandor Smarmy was presenting BBC Question Time. Well, he hasn't yet. All right, so where was I? Yeah, 2016. I interpreted it very different to Brent. I said that this was a sign that the power of the deep state was weakening. In fact, I would say that for a few months in that year, they completely lost control of the political structures of the earth. It must have been terrifying for them, and I'm glad. They deserve to be terrified. Anyway, so I'm going to play you a couple of audios now, a couple of videos. This is PJW. Let me just share screen because I think these are very good ones. There's two brief summaries I think are very, very good. One is by the inimitable Paul Joseph Watson, Orange Man Bad. Here we go.
7 years later, and we're back where we all started.
Breaking news. Orange Man Bad.
Orange Man Bad.
Orange Man.
Orange
That reminds me of the safe and effective meme. Do you remember safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective when they're talking about you know what, which we can't mention?
Man bad. Orange man colluded. Orange man impeached. Orange man insurrectionist. Orange man indicted. The longest political witch
You've got Orange Man in league with Russia.
in modern history finally culminates with charges about as weak as Joe Biden's resistance to wanting to sniff kids. The zombie case against Trump Trump, centering around a $130,000 alleged hush money payment
Zombie case. I like that. I like that. That's a good word. That's a good word to describe it.
to Stormy Daniels is an obscure financial misdemeanor at best, inflated out of all proportion by nothing more than partisan hysteria and demented vengeance mentality.
Exactly.
Weaponized political theatre, purely crafted to prevent Trump running again in 2024. The same pearl clutchers who raged about election interference are cheering on one of the most brazen examples of election interference ever witnessed. Attorney Jonathan Turley explained the absurd nature of the indictment.
It's a raw political prosecution. This idea that you could take a misdemeanor under New York law that has expired, that has a 2-year statute of limitations, and revive it by connecting it to a federal crime, I think it's rather outrageous. I think it's legally pathetic.
This whole sideshow is so farcical, so banana republic, that even foreign leaders of second and third world countries, like
This is him, Nayib Bukele. He's This is the guy. I was talking about. President. I don't think he's president of Panama. I forgot what he is. El Salvador. That's it. I know, somewhere in Central America.
the president of El Salvador are laughing at America. As Tucker Carlson explains, this is just the latest chapter of a near decade-long corrupt vendetta.
In the 2016 election, when the most powerful interests in this country decided that Donald Trump could not be president, but just to make certain that he never was, the FBI worked with the Clinton campaign to spread false allegations that the president had been colluding with the government of Russia. That, of course, didn't.
Yeah, the evidence was that Donald Trump Jr. had a meeting with a Russian lawyer who's alleged to be an FSB officer. That was it.
Work, and Trump took office anyway. Within days, they arrested Trump's national security advisor. Then they had a CIA operative in the White House file a fake whistleblower complaint about Ukraine, and that got Trump impeached. And then they impeached Trump again for holding a constitutionally protected rally to call on his supporters to peacefully protest what had happened to him, as you would in a democracy. This effort today is one in a long line of unprecedented steps that permanent Washington has taken to stop Donald Trump from holding office in a democracy.
This is so nakedly tyrannical. It can surely only backfire massively. Although given the
And it is, I'm pleased to say, it totally is backfiring.
despotic nature of those responsible for it, you really start to wonder. The Telegraph reports that the charges will add rocket fuel to Trump's campaign for 2024. Democrats are still salivating over Trump in handcuffs, Trump's mugshot. They've spent much of the last 2 weeks obsessively creating reams of generated AI photos of it. So excited, they're unable to wait for the real
They've now gone quiet, though. This is interesting.
thing. Well, be careful what you wish for. The Telegraph notes that a quote mugshot could become the most effective fundraising tool Trump has ever had. One senior Democrat told the newspaper, quote, lawyer after lawyer will tell you this. The hush money payment is the weakest case out there. Chris Rock summed it up.
Do you know this is only going to make him more popular? It's like arresting Tupac. He's gonna sell more records. Are you stupid?
And you can tell how nervous the left
What's that line from Star Wars? Cut me down, and I'll become more powerful than you can imagine.
is about this turning Trump into a martyr by their strangely muted reaction to it. Hollywood celebrities who have spent years defining their very existence by the metric of Trump derangement syndrome aren't exactly popping the champagne corks like you'd expect them.
Alyssa Milano, although accountability is finally important and no one is above the law. This is a really sad day for the United States of America.
Michael Moore's response was simply to post the words, finally something.
Yeah, they are being a little bit muted, aren't they? The lefty lovies. You'd think they'd be a bit more enthusiastic, wouldn't you?
Maybe a tacit admission that the something is next to nothing, along with the Orange Man bad square.
Orange Man. Bad.
There's a sense that many Trump supporters who were losing faith in the Donald have been totally galvanized by this new crusade against him. Quinnipiac poll shows 93% of Republicans believe the case against Trump is politically motivated. Crucially, 70% of independents and even 29% of Democrats believe that too. He's been surging in polls against DeSantis for the past fortnight.
He is just killing the field, lapping the field. This is right.
Look at that. He's gained 11 points in a month.
right now among the leading contenders for the Republican nomination.
But given everything they're throwing at Trump, will he even be able to campaign next year? Given all the
Will he need to?
attacks, will he have enough stamina against the younger, fresher candidate DeSantis? Oh yeah, and speaking of aging, can you believe I'm 40 years old? Where did all the years go?
He just does an ad. Here we go.
In the description below, you lucky devils, every single one of its.
Yeah, PJW has an ad slot in all his videos. No, I don't mind that. I don't care. You know, if he can fund his videos, good. If he can fund his work, I'm glad he does. You know, I know that everyone who opposes us will say he's grifting. Oh, he should. You know, like, you know, the Communist Party took power in the 90s, which of course they want to happen. But you know, but of course when one of their people does it, oh. They get nuts when someone like Vorsh is I don't know if he's a millionaire. He's bloody rich anyway. Vorsh. He just like his videos are monetized. Of course, he's never going to be demonetized, is he? And he gets like millions of views, which means you can work out exactly what he's making through AdSense. Anyway, let Paul continue.
So don't miss out. Click the link in the description. Now back to the video. Meanwhile, the NYPD has mobilized every single one of its uniformed officers in anticipation of some kind of pro-Trump riot. Oh
God! Oh my goodness me! Well, they should. Aren't there some non-crime hate incidents they need to investigate? What about people being offensive on Twitter? Oh my goodness me!
Drive bluster and hot air. Leftists are storming Capitol buildings in Kentucky and Tennessee, fighting with the police.
That's what we got to watch, because they could try to stage something like this for Trump among Trump supporters.
And unlike J6, they're not being calmly chaperoned around by the authorities. Unlike J6s, instead of being extrajudicially disappeared for a year, they're being venerated as guardians of democracy.
People don't want their freedoms to be taken.
God.
They want us to fight for.
There's Miss Diversity hire, Corinne Jean-Pierre, yeah. The one who says, "Oh, there's no aliens." Do you remember Balloon Gate and Object Gate? No, it's not aliens. It's not aliens. A week after the whole thing kicked off.
Their freedom. Our hearts go out to the trans community as they are under attack right now.
The media is reporting it like they're calmly sitting outside on the grass having polite tea parties. The footage tells a different story.
I wouldn't mess with coppers who wore those hats. I mean, look at those. I think policemen who wear those hats look a lot meaner than the normal police hats, by the way. You know, they have these like brimmed hats, like almost like cowboys.
Oh no, but it's those dangerous MAGA people we really need to worry about.
Well, again, it's bias, isn't it? It's a double standard.
Then we have District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Oh, he's deadly laser.
You personally.
I think that's all I wanted to play from that particular video. So I'll go back to you guys in chat. How you doing? Any new people turned up? Hugo Room, please, Ben. I've always disliked that you wear a baseball cap. What's that? Did you guys say something about my baseball cap? Oh, Mr. Gray, I'll come to you in a minute. I'm just trying to. I've always just liked you wear a baseball. There we go. Oh, I can just show it, can't I? Yeah, that's it. I've always just liked you wear a baseball cap, but that message on it. Sorry, I don't like America except for Hawaii. I spent 2 months working there. Oh, right. Well, I've never been to the United States, Hawaii or otherwise. Hawaii actually has a wonderful person there, Tulsi Gabbard, who is absolutely wonderful. But yeah, it's you know, I like the United States. I think I've never been there, but I think it's one of my favorite foreign countries, especially with they have Trump trying to save it. What's this? Mr. Grayal says apparently you are not allowed to influence an election that you're in, so you can't do anything to try and win because it might influence people's opinions. Only if you're Trump. Only if you're Trump. Mr. Grayal asked me something about UFO Jesus. Where was that? Oh, here we go. Did you happen to catch UFO Jesus' update? Read more hearings, possibly in April and May. Cameron confirming that the whistleblower's told. Yes, I did. He just uploaded it yesterday. I did catch that. Yeah, that was interesting. That was very interesting. Frank Triggs. Russell Brand blocked me for pointing out the French riot video was from the lockdown protest in Barcelona 2 years ago. Oh, what? They're actually being dishonest again, aren't they? Yeah. Well, they're trying to demonize like these people, the people in France, because they've been protesting against so much the yellow vest movement, which is of course where this comes from. Yeah. Okay. So thanks for. I mean, if I missed a comment, I'm sorry about that. But I'm presenting the show. There's another one. Now I've got to thank Lisa for this. She literally sent this to me minutes before I was going to go on the air. So this is Katie Hopkins. Now Katie Hopkins, I used to dislike her a lot. I thought she was silly. She was doing these TV programs where she was pretending to be Miss Posh Mum who wouldn't let her children play with another girl named Chardonnay or something like that. I think that was just an act she was doing. She was involved with the counter jihad for a while, which of course is, I think, she was doing so genuinely. But of course, like many people in that movement, they're sincere people, but it's a mistake. They've identified the wrong problem. The cause of the problem. But then since in the last couple of years, she's really become very, very aware and wise. And Lisa plays many audios by Katie on her show. Since the you-know-what C-word lockdown, she has really switched on to what's going on in the world big time. And can you see that okay? Hello, Barbara. Barbara Withell. Hello, how are you, Barbara? Great to see you. Been caught up in politics. I haven't seen your videos for a while. Well, yeah, we are delving into politics tonight, Barbara, but it's nice to see you again. And Lisa says, all right, Katie, is coming to my area in December. Got the tickets. Yeah, she's going on tour. Let me know how you get on with that, Lisa. If she comes near me, I'm going to go and see her. Stephen says, can you do a paranormal live stream? Yeah, I'm happy to do one. I won't be using the Ouija board, though, Stephen. What's this? Caroline Stevens has her doubts. Caroline has unblocked me now, which is nice, although she hasn't spoken to me still. But like I said, Caroline has been proved right about Boris Johnson. I know that. But she still, I think, is too eager to see controlled opposition everywhere. And I think she's making a mistake there. I'm not bothered with Caroline Stevens for eons, Lisa. Lisa, I haven't. That's her choice. She turned against me because, as you know, I've done an entire video against this. She turned against me because she read a 33-page stream of nonsense about me and believed it, treated it as real, didn't even ask me to comment on it, just assumed it was real. Oh, Tolkien, you sent me a message. I actually just messaged you on Facebook. Thanks, Tolkien Study. Please, I'd love to see your work and your interview with Neil and people like that. Rose, do you know what a Karen is? Yeah, it's a very nasty term. Christy Winters keeps using it all the time. A Karen is a derogatory. Obviously, it's a girl's name, but it's a derogatory term for a white middle-class woman who is a bit entitled, or apparently a bit entitled. The catchphrase of the Karen is, "I want to speak to your manager." But of course, it's a horrible. What I don't like about it is it's a stereotype that it only exists because of the class and race of the person involved. It would be completely unacceptable to come up with any stereotypes of people from a different demographic, and so I don't like that. I don't like that double standard, really. Which, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a laugh about Karens if it wasn't for that. Okay, so let's get on to Katie Hopkins now. This is her video from earlier today.
Just about to jump on and start my radio show at TNT Radio. But before I do, just wanted to say quickly, Trump today arrives in New York City at the court for his indictment, the first indictment of a former president in US history. And there's three big headlines that I think are really, really important. I've just been on the phone to the president of the New York Young Republican Club.
I thought you could say president of the United States, meaning Trump, of course, not Biden.
People will gather in advance of being at the courthouse. The first thing is that if you're in any way entwined with the MAGA network, you will know that this, in fact, is a glorious moment.
Yes.
Because the eyes of the world are on Trump. And that's absolutely his favorite place to be.
Yes.
And if you can face down those who do you wrong with a straight spine and a red tie, and you are in control. That is just pitch perfect for Trump. And people say, will he go in a side door? You don't know Trump very well if you think he's going in a side door.
He is using this to his advantage almost effortlessly, because the bad guys, the deep state who are persecuting him in this way, are completely losing. They're completely losing the initiative, totally, like they have done with everything that's happened in the last few years.
Door. Second up, there will be bad actors.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has already received a warning from the city telling her to behave herself like she's some small child, presumably because she's a woman. And the truth of the matter is, it's not our side that does damage and violence. Our side doesn't riot. Our side doesn't burn things down that actually the self-same community need. Our side doesn't wreak destruction or steal sneakers.
Yeah, it's the establishment left that do all the damage. Look at the BLM riots. Compare them to January the 6th.
Because of some sort of protest. There are very likely to be bad actors.
Yes.
Some of them state-sponsored bad actors. Amongst
Yeah, I've already warned about that. The infiltration by the feds. You know, guys turning up you've never seen before, dressed in all the regalia, and you think to yourself, well, oh, who are they? Newcomers, but they're all very enthusiastic, and then suddenly they start throwing stones and bricks and things like that.
the MAGA crowd. You can spot them because they have brand new hats on and look like they don't fit in. The key thing for our side is going to be discipline. So military discipline, where we are not enticed in.
Yeah, good example, actually, guys. I might be able to find you. Did you see Australia a few days ago, where Posey Parker was doing her talk? And there may even be some. I don't know if it's worth finding the video footage. You may well have seen it, but Posey Parker, Kelly J. Keane. Now I'm not a huge fan of hers. I mean, I've got my big problems with her. I won't go into details now about that, but basically, I'm not on the sort of like turf bandwagon like so many other dissidents are. Sargon, people like that. But she did this protest in. Stephen's got to go. See you, Stephen. Thanks for coming, Stephen. Much appreciated. Stephen did. She did this protest in Australia, which I completely support her right to do. Same, the horrible scenes in New Zealand, I totally oppose. I totally oppose the mob that tried to attack her when she was completely on her own. The police wouldn't intervene. But the interesting point about this is her crowd of followers and supporters in Australia were suddenly a group of men pushed to the front, all in strange black uniforms. And they suddenly walked up and down in the protest doing Roman salutes. There's videos of this, and later on, it was all reported in the news that Posey Parker is a Nazi and things like this. They even did this silly thing where she was just pulling up, she was just adjusting the zip on her dress, and they reckon that she was doing like a dog whistling hand signal, things like that. I think those people who turned up at her protest were simply probably undercover policemen dressed as Nazis just to smear her. And the same thing, we've got to watch out for the same thing happening with the Trump movement. So we'll go back to Katie.
To poor behaviour because of bad actors placed there in order for the media to get the headlines that they want, rather than the truth of our side, which is that you couldn't be amongst a more uplifting, freedom-loving, kind, courteous, litter-picking. They'll be thanking every police officer there. I know these people personally, and it's why people go to the rallies, because it's just such a lovely bunch of people to be part of. And finally, my third point is that this is where the Democrats have really shot themselves in the foot, because whether you like Trump or you don't, whether you love Biden or you hate him, you can see.
Does anyone really love Biden? Biden is like people's attitudes to Biden. They either laugh at him and think he's a joke and a fool and a pernicious, abusive old man, which is what I believe, or they just think, well, we'll put up with him because he's not Trump. And those are the only two attitudes.
When law is being manipulated for political gain, and that should be the opposite of what anybody wants, regardless of your political affiliation. And what this has really done is for a crowd that were very much flagging in their support for Trump, because DeSantis is the new shiny thing with a very clean record, is that this will have firmly repositioned Trump as the Republican candidate
Definitely, yeah.
for 2024. And there is this
I'm going to show you his Truth Social page in a minute. It's really, really amazing.
glorious, I don't know, it's almost like a clarity of thought now. Isn't it great? You'll have Trump running and you'll have DeSantis to protect and preserve Florida. And as for donations, this has been a record-breaking donation time for the Trump campaign. So 3 top and big thoughts from someone who's really interwoven with the Trump team. As you start to hear other news coming out of today, I wanted you to hear it from someone that knows these people well. So go on, MAGA, go on, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and go on, President Trump.
Building your online business?
Okay, that's enough of that. So, what's this now? Okay. Thanks very much for Lisa for finding that. That was, I've got to thank Lisa for that. And now we're going to go to Trump's Truth Social page, and this is there's some amazing stuff on here. I mean, I'll just scroll through it. I mean, I can't like get everything on here, but this is the new. Well, I was going to say before, this is the in the pre-Elon days. I would say this is the Twitter beyond Twitter. This is what Twitter should be. But Elon Musk has actually improved an awful lot. But this is Trump's official Truth Social page. Of course, this is his own creation. This Rasmussen poll: Trump gains 10 points on Biden since the indictment. This is literally. Here we go, and there's more polling news here. As much as I enjoy a day like Tuesday when the radical left lunatics, maniacs and perverts had been indicted and arrested for no reason whatsoever, there was no crime. It was an unbelievable experience. Perhaps the best day in history, all capital letters. For somebody who's just suffered unjustifiable indictment, my poll numbers have never been better. Almost £10 million was raised for the campaign. The day was capped off by a very important speech. If we don't stop the radical left, America is dead. Yes. That's true. And he says praise for his fans here, the great patriots in the courthouse. And of course, some of the more honest candidates are also on his side. Tucker Carlson also is very much in the UFO disclosure business now. And there's various speeches by Trump there. Very, very good, yeah. And the full speech is here. I won't play it, though, because it's like about half an hour, but you can watch it. It's on Rumble. Obviously, it's not going to be on YouTube, but you can get it on Rumble. Hey, so, Cosmic Claire. Hi, Claire. How you doing? Welcome, President Claire, she calls herself. It's peak insanity, isn't it? Yeah. It really, really is. Rose says, Ben, you're a great guy. So sweet, but this is duller than paint drying. Oh, well, Rose, I'm glad you appreciate my contribution, but, I will, you can always watch something else until I cover subjects you prefer. Now, all right. Claire says, Sturgeon's back garden has been dug up. Oh, my goodness, really? Already? Oh, we're going to come on to her, aren't we? Yeah, because I do want to cover this subject. Someone asked me about this. Even before I went on the air, someone asked me about Nicola Sturgeon. I do have a news story lined up here. I will just show you it. This is kind of the example of what I'm talking about when we come to politicians. When you compare what Trump is now being dragged through the courts for compared to what so many of the others do. Nicola Sturgeon's husband, Peter Murrell, arrested in SNP finance probe. Oh my goodness me! Oh, he looks sinister, doesn't he? He looks like some kind of. He looks like the evil professor in some kind of gothic horror movie. the BBC. The husband of the former First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has been arrested in connection with an investigation into Scottish National Party finances. Oh, you see, misappropriation of funds. Now, you see, Miss Peter Burrell, 58, has been questioned after being taken into police custody on Wednesday morning. Police in Scotland said officers were carrying out searches at a number of addresses as part of the investigation. Does this mean they are? Does this mean they are digging up? Oh, look, here we are. See, police activity has been seen outside Peter Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon's home in Glasgow. Oh, look, a nice posh place, of course. I didn't think those two would be living in the Gorbals flats. Anyway, let's see what's this all about here. Let's have a look. A video. You can't see this, can you? You should be able to, yeah. Could you hear that all right? Boxes and boxes of evidence. Oh, there's a dead body. There's a body bag. And there you go. And what's this here? Police activity outside their home in Glasgow. Whoa. Oh, look, here we go. Oh, there's this. This is this horrible man here, Humza Yousaf. Should we listen? I hate this guy, but let's listen to what he has to say.
First Minister, thank you for doing the interview. What's your reaction today in the breaking news about Peter Murrell's arrest?
Well, look, I obviously can't comment on a live police investigation. You would know that. But what I will say is...
He's white. He's white.
...is that the SNP has fully cooperated with the investigation and it will continue to do so. And of course, on the weekend that just passed, my first NEC meeting as party leader, we agreed to carry out a review on governance, on transparency, and of course with some external input too. And the details of that will come forth.
It's gibberish. I'm not going to listen to that guy. Oh, by the way, I can't stand him. He's horrible. He's Scotland's new First Minister. He's a horrible anti-white scumbag. I mean, he doesn't try to hide it. I mean, he literally went on a racist tirade in the Scottish Parliament, as you've probably seen. It's quite infamous, in which he stated absolutely unequivocally he believes that people of the indigenous demographic of Scotland should have their presence in the establishment restricted, carefully controlled and minimized. He really is disgusting. He's a disgusting, yeah. Yes, DJ Peter, you've heard of him, yes. He is. It's infamous, isn't it? It's infamous. Lisa, no sound. Oh dear. I did select sound when I Right, I don't know why that was. Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe I just need to raise the volume. Yeah, horrible man. I'm not going to listen to anything more he has to say. Let's just see. But you see, this is interesting here. Well, I'll go on and find some more information on this. But Nicola Sturgeon gave multiple reasons for her resignation, but the police investigation into her party finances was not one of them. But people were saying, weren't they? Why did she quit so suddenly? Why did Nicola Sturgeon just step down so suddenly? It's like, you know, she'd been like First Minister for how long? 15 years, something like that. And she just suddenly dropped out. Maybe because she had wind of what was coming. She knew this was coming. Maybe they'd had some private they'd had some private discussions on the matter. That's what I reckon happened. Yeah, it did look like a body bag, didn't it? What's this? Police probing the disappearance of Madeleine McCann are to get hundreds of thousands of pounds in a new funding. Why only her plenty kids go missing? Oh well, you know they. It seems to be every time. This may be connected. The fact that Madeleine McCann is now back in the news may be connected with the new media profile of the Merthyr Tydfil one. What do you reckon? Because, of course, people are now going to his channel. Richard has made the most of it. We'll come on to more about Richard in a minute. But Richard has, as I expected he was, because I know he's a tough old cookie. He's not going to let this get him down. And I've done an entire live stream about this. He immediately made a video saying, basically, if you've just discovered this channel for the first time, which a lot of people will have, following the Streisand effect, the inevitable Streisand effect of him being in the news, he's decided to capitalize on it and turn it, and like a lot of things the deep state are doing, I'm hoping this will backfire on him. But while we're on the subject of Richard, I've done, like I said, I've done an entire video and a very long, detailed video and a very long, detailed article about this. We have here, he's back in the news again. I don't know if you can see this. Here we go. But The Guardian says here, Manchester Arena bombing survivors file legal action against a conspiracy theorist. Richard D. Hall accused of harassment after he claimed the attack never took place. Richard just filed. Well, this is going to be it's going to be very, very sad because, of course, they're doing basically to Richard what they did to Alex Jones, as I predicted. I predicted they'd do it to someone in this country. I thought it'd be David Icke. I didn't think it'd be Richard. Well, this is a defamation and harassment. This is interesting. This is worrying, these two words, because they can now apply this to not to your actions, but to the actions of other people. As is the case with Alex Jones. Alex Jones was told. Alex Jones never approached and never abused any of the people who sued him. But other people who listened and watched Alex Jones did, and then that, therefore, has become Alex Jones's fault. That's a worrying legal precedent. Survivors of the Manchester Arena bombing have launched a legal action against a conspiracy theorist who has falsely claimed the attack was fake. Falsely, see, immediately we have this framing. Falsely attacked the claim was fake. They're not even going to entertain any other possibility. What Richard said was false, and no one's going to actually, and at no point are they going to investigate the otherwise. Of course, Richard has his own channel now. Obviously, he's been banned from YouTube, like I explained, but you can download his videos from his website. He has his own server and his own cloud, which you can download stuff from. And some people are going to be curious to see what he has to say. So the Guardian has to get in immediately saying, no, it's false. It's a false claim. And of course, what's horrible is that this legal action, where's the money coming from it? Where's the money? Where's the money coming from? But the BBC are probably paying for this. Whereas Richard is going to have to fund his own legal campaign. He will ask help from, he'll probably ask help from his viewers. And yeah, I'll say more about that at the time. But when that happens, I'll say more about it because I've got a lot to say about that. But if he does, I hope people will support him. I certainly will. Martin Hibbert and his daughter Eve were severely injured in the terror attack at the Ariana Grande concert in 2017 that left 22 people dead. The family have accused Richard D. Hall of defamation and harassment after he promoted the theory that the attack never took place and reportedly tracked them down and admitted spying on them. Well, it's only reportedly then. So I thought I expect they would have done away with that word altogether, but they haven't. Last Friday, they sought an injunction and damages, having initially signaled their intention to bring legal action in October 2021. Hibbert was at the concert with Eve, who was 14 at the time. They were standing 5 meters from the bomb when it detonated and are thought to be the closest people to it to survive. Both need wheelchairs after sustaining serious injuries. On Monday, the Hibbert's lawyers said, "We can confirm that the proceedings were issued in the High Court on Friday on behalf of Martin and his daughter Eve." It's unusual for solicitors to use first names. They're usually always very formal. The ones I've had to deal with, always very, very formal. Yeah. So where was I? Let's go back to this. I'm just checking your comments for a moment. so-called conspiracy theorists have gained a social standing since the you-know-what. Yeah. In fact, you know that T-shirt, my pronouns are, I'm a conspiracy theorist and my pronouns are told you so. Yes. God. Who doesn't, DJ? Who doesn't, DJ B2? Who doesn't? Oh, we have some with a Chinese word here. Let's just go. Claire says it may have been a setup, but surely something actually happened. Well, there was a bang. There was a loud noise. That's absolutely undeniable that there was a loud noise. Right, David. We've been through this. Do you remember? I don't want to go through this again if you don't mind, but we have actually discussed this. And Lisa has brought up basically some of the points that I brought up about this. Yeah, Lisa's referring to the guy who later appeared in that. He later appeared in that. Was it a quiz show or something like that? The guy who is definitely an actor. Okay, so I think we've been through that whole issue. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me just go back to screen share. I'll go back to screen share. There we go. So you can see this Guardian shite. Those proceedings are for protection from harassment and misuse of private information and include an application for a restraining injunction and damages. Mr. Richard Hall will shortly be served with papers and will then have the opportunity to formally respond. It's to respond formally. They can't even talk properly, these lawyers now. Martin, my old mate Martin, yeah, is very determined to shut this individual down for harassing his family. Shut him down. And for peddling his outrageous slurs, lies, and repugnant views that have caused continuing offence and distress. I honestly think that's Mariana Spring said exactly the same thing. Announcing their intention to pursue legal action last October, Neil Hudgell said that Hall had made outlandish claims following the Manchester Arena atrocity, and our clients are not genuine. Did not suffer life-changing injuries. They did. Well, you see, like I said, there's Richard. The outlandish claims Richard does put across with a rational case, as you know if you're familiar with his channel. Is to say something outlandish claims. Outlandish is an adjective that really implies some kind of subjective appreciation. It's like extraordinary claims, extraordinary, evidence. That I made that point in my skeptic talk. It's, you could say, well, how many outlandish points does it have compared to the official story, which has this number of outlandish points? The official story, which was there was a bomb, etc., has only one outlandish point, whereas Richard's thesis has 20 outlandish points. But it's a meaningless statement. He added, firstly, just to clarify here, that he says that they did not suffer the life-changing injuries that they did. Richard actually did state he believes that Martin Hibbert did have a life-changing condition, but he had it beforehand. That's what Richard states in the video. He said that this man suffered, I think it was a herniated disc he was suffering from, which is a horrible condition. It's very painful and extremely debilitating, which is why he was a wheelchair user. That's all Richard did say, that he didn't suffer the injury, but he did not claim that. He never claimed that Mr. Hibbert is just faking his disability. He didn't claim that. He added, several of our clients have had this man on their doorstep taking photographs. No, he's not been on their doorstep. He's been on public land, taking photographs and invading their privacy in an intrusive way. Well, you're allowed to take photographs of anything you want on a public highway. As Charlie Veach keeps saying, I'm on a public street and I'm stealing your photons. Oh, dearie me. Martin and others are determined to stop this individual from continuing with his repugnant behavior. Repugnant again. Get a thesaurus, for goodness sake. The BBC said Hall had admitted to its reporter that he spied on Eve Hibbert from a vehicle parked outside her home. Yeah, on a public street. noting that he had described online his practice of tracking down survivors to pursue his theory that their injuries were fake. That's standard practice for investigative journalism, and indeed for private investigators and people like that. The broadcaster reported that when he confronted Hall before the start of his legal proceedings, he said its coverage of his activities was inaccurate and claimed to have received death threats. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. Hall's not responded to a request for comment. Good, well done, Richard, because there's no point commenting. Like, this is the mistake that Neil Sanders made. Have nothing to do with them. Don't speak to them. You can't say anything to them that they will not twist. According to the BBC, Hudgell said his client could be seen as a pioneering trailblazer for others to follow. Oh, yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? It's going to set a precedent in common law, which will be applied to the rest of us. Before you know it, they're going to. They're not passing legislation. They're just using outsourced lawfare. They're bringing in these litigious paramilitaries to do the job for them. Before you know it, it's getting to the point where anyone who questions anything about an official story on any subject whatsoever could find themselves facing a judge and possibly a large amount of money or a prison sentence. It's just going to make disagreeing with official stories impossible under law. That's what they're doing. For taking such action against a conspiracy theorist. A precedent, yes. Who's going to be next? Me? You? The broadcaster likened the case to that brought against the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, yes, in the US, after he falsely claimed that the Shady Nook school shooting was a hoax. Again, falsely claimed. They're repeating themselves. Hibbert told the BBC, "It does sometimes feel like a bit of a weight, so it would be nice to be able to put it to bed and move on with our lives. Put it to bed. You've read 25 articles this year. Oh, we have a small favour to ask. Go fuck yourselves." Right, here we go. So, yeah. So that's the status of Richard's position right now. Richard hasn't commented, I don't think. But I mean, it's his move now. I'll just go and check the Rich Planet website, but Richard hasn't said anything, I don't think. And he's very wisely refused to talk to the bastard BBC or certainly to the Guardian. Good for him. So again, this is what you want to look at. Hopefully anyone who Googles his name will find this. Obviously, Google are going to knock his website down the rankings like they have mine. They're going to shadow ban this guy as much as they can. But determined searching, with enough determined searching, I mean, it came up pretty quickly for me because basically I put in Richard D. Hall. If I put Richard D. Hall in, of course, Google put these news stories ahead, and there's his IMDb page there. But of course, it is now just it's a few points down. But the only reason that it is this far down for me is because I regularly search for this. I regularly search for this website, so it is. I do have cookies, but there's absolutely no doubt Richard will have been shadow banned. Absolutely no doubt at all. But you can find out his videos here. These are all his videos here. There's a couple of me in, and he did one just last month. And he's done several things about this Disaster Trolls TV show that I talked about. And there's many, many others. You can see he's done like 304 programs, so there's a lot there to look at. So if anyone's watching this and you've never heard of Richard D. Hall, you know where to go, richplanet.net. They can't shadow ban you from putting in the URL. Yes, he is King L. He's being sued by the alleged victims of this supposed terrorist attack. And yeah. Oh, as I do for Panro. Thanks, DJ B2. Yeah, there's enough people who. Yes, King L. He's put the Boston unbombing on his channel. He's mirrored it, which is good. Yeah, I mean, if you, like I said, if you know anyone who wants to look at these things, you can always just share my links and things like that. Definitely. All right, guys. So I can't think that's everything on my list of subjects. I'll just check my notes again. Right, yeah. Portal backfiring. Oh, bloody blah. Yeah, but I think that's it, guys. I think that's everything. Anyone else want to add anything more? Yeah, that's at least it. Yeah, I won't comment on my personal issues with Richard here, but I will possibly later on. But I do actually comment on the long. I did a big long live stream specifically about Richard. Right here, right now, you know, we got to be professional. Put our personal issues aside. If it was Caroline Stevens in this position, I'd be backing her up as well. David says, I don't know if I'd sue Hall for it. Probably wouldn't, but I can understand why they are, even though they probably shouldn't. I'm glad you take that position, David, because I know you don't believe Richard's position or Richard's theory about what happened. You've stated many times you know people involved, and for that reason you don't. Indeed, I mean, like Richard's actually put out an appeal for people who were there. So if these people want to contact him, I mean, he did have. They probably wouldn't now, but he did put out an appeal for information. They could have contacted him if they'd wanted to. And if you could, I know your response to that, if I remember rightly, was, well, they just don't want to. They don't want to have to deal with all this with somebody like him. Okay, well, that's their choice. But if they are going to take that position, David, you can understand why people will say, well, maybe they've got something to hide. Then maybe they don't want to contact him because they've got something to hide. You do understand that, don't you? Yeah, me too. The lights will. I'll help him out any way I can, and hopefully there'll be enough people on his side in this business to prevent him, to at least so he can take his case to court, get his chance to defend himself properly. Right. Anything else? I think we'll leave it now. If no one else has anything you want to say, does anyone else have anything to add? These comments from Claire, I don't really understand this. It's a Streisand effect thing, surely. Well, they've probably weighed up the pros and cons, Claire, and they've decided to go for it anyway. But probably they think they can do more good by basically just financially crippling people so they can't do what they do, like they tried to do with Alex Jones. And they've weighed that up against the other side, which is the other side of the argument as well. Obviously, this is going to make him more famous. David says, yes, the parents don't want to talk to a conspiracy theorist who thinks no children died. Understandable. But yes, it feeds into everyone's narrative that they're somehow in on it and deceiving anyone. Indeed, David, and you can't blame people for thinking that, can you? You can't blame people. Oh, you're welcome, Lightswell. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a wonderful weekend. I really thought it was great. I think it was absolutely fantastic. I had a lovely time. Okay, so guys, is there anything else anyone want to add anything else before we leave? Because I can't think of anything else. I think we've covered the whole thing now, and obviously there may be a development which will mean I'll do another live stream on this subject. I'll do another live stream on this particular subject. I've run out of dragon juice. I want part 2 and 3 of your books, Ben. DM me on FB with an address and say, yes, certainly, yes. I will do so, yeah. You want me to sign them? Because, I mean, you can buy them anywhere. You can buy them from anywhere, really, right now. But I'm happy to send you signed copies if you contacted me. Just contact me and I will. Alex Ritchie. I know you on Facebook, don't I? Yes, I do. Hello. Yes, I do. I'll just send you a message just to remind myself. I'll send you a message just to remind myself to contact you. Hi, Alex. There we go. So just so I know you're there. So yes, right. I'll do that for you. Certainly, I'll certainly do that. So Johnson deals. Andrew Johnson is the only person Richard really has anything to do with these days. His opinion of the rest of us is just so low that he can't even bring us. He can't even bring himself to really interact with us in any way. We saw with his terrible research on the Rendlesham Forest incident, which was caused by his unwillingness to interview to consult the people who'd been researching the issue. Yeah, that's essentially me and Gary Heseltine. He thought he didn't need to. He had his magic wand, abracadabra, Peter Hyatt. You just wave it and you know everything. Who needs any other form of who needs any other research methods when you have the magic dust of Peter Hyatt, which spread it around and boom, you know everything. Well, he paid the price by producing a very substandard program about himself. So there. King L, I'll probably say more about that in the future. Anyway, guys, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for. Oh right. Oh, this is good. Westall 66 now on Now TV for. Oh, thank you very much, Davey. Yep. Oh, you could rush off and watch that now. Because I tell you what, that's worth seeing. It certainly is. It's a great follow-on for what you've seen here. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's taken part in this live stream. David Splendid Isolation, DJ B2, King L, Welsh Ripper, Lisa Cry Freedom, Alex Ritchie, Rose, Cosmic Claire, Welsh Ripper, The Lights Were Low, some Chinese guy, Tor Engen, DJ B2. And I won't be able to get everyone, will I? I won't be able to get everyone, but Pat Riot, night. Thank you very much. Rose, good night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. Much appreciated. Night King L. You enjoyed the live and the Weird Con upload. Nice chat. You too. Nice talking to you. Claire, sorry I missed the early part, Ben, but interesting. Oh, you're welcome, Claire. Don't worry, it will be recorded. It's all there for you. Hopefully it will download quite quickly because I like to, because I can't record it on independently on StreamYard. I can only do that with OBS. But I like StreamYard so much more. No nights, David Splendid Isolation. Sleep well. Thank you very much. Don't forget, tomorrow evening, the Herpanmo show on Herpanmo Radio, 8 p.m. Yes, which means I've got to wait for it to process on YouTube before I download it. Last time it took like about 12 hours, and I went to work thinking, oh my God, am I going to get back and the thing's been deleted? But it didn't. I got back and then I downloaded it. But StreamYard normally processes quicker than OBS. It normally processes within an hour, which is what's annoying. Because YouTube, I'm paranoid about YouTube because YouTube just deletes stuff willy-nilly, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you all of you. I've still got 43 people watching. Thank you everyone who's watched this live stream. I will be back very soon. Actually, I'm actually going away this weekend. It's not to a conference; it's for a social event, so there'll be no coverage of it. I'm just going to be away to visit a friend's birthday party. So from sort of Saturday to Monday or Sunday, I might be back on Sunday in time to do the gas spanner. I'll put up a notice for the gas spanner anyway. Yeah, I could have done that with Audacity, Claire, but I forgot. But what I'll do is there will be I think there'll probably be another video probably tomorrow before I go. All right, or late on tomorrow night or maybe early Friday before I go. I won't tell you what it's about. It'll be a nice surprise for you. So with no further ado, good night, everyone. God bless. MAGA, where we go on, we'll go all. Long live President Trump.